Yes, Ankita, did you see the cases where people disappeared without informing?
Yes. Yes, yes.
Right. So these type of cases you can tag in the system and you can call them as absconding.
Yeah.
So if the HR tags a person as absconding, do you want to process his payroll? So there might be a yes or no answer. Maybe yes, maybe no. Or maybe you will have to process the statutory ones by law, or you have to take some steps before you can stop processing the statutory ones, right?
Yes.
So depending on the status, assignment status, you can take different types of subsequent actions for the payroll as well as the HR. Also look at the on the employee side, you could have a lot of companies allow people to take sabbatical leave, right? They go for 2 years or 1 year for MBAs or for higher studies, and companies encourage it, right? So during that period, the company may process the person's payroll. If the company is sending the person for higher studies or for reskilling or sending them to Harvard or something like that, they would pay for them, at least some kind of a subsistence allowance or something like that. So in that case, if the person is on sabbatical leave, you still process the payroll, but you'd pay like maybe not the regular benefits, but some kind of a allowance or some the statutory ones as well as certain allowances, right? Another scenario is you have consultants traveling from one country to another country, right? Lot of employees go from here to US. So the normal rule that companies follow is, if it is a short term, the person remains on India payroll, they get certain benefits per diems or an allowance during their stay in the US. Once they come back, their regular payroll is restored. Or you might have someone going permanently to US, so you move their payroll totally to US, right? So in that case also, the assignment status can be used to decide what you want to do. Okay, so there could be a temporary location or a permanent relocation. So how does the assignment status look like? This is the user status. You can call it what you want. Based on this, you can decide what should be the HR status. Okay, this column HR status, and this column is the pay status.
Where do we create the new assignment status from? Which UI?
From the normal, I will show you. It is actually just through that workforce structures. Now they have moved it inside workforce structures. So you can go to the workforce structures where we were defining the department, job, position. Right at the bottom of that screen, you have an option for assignment status.
Okay. I can start the new assignment status.
Yes, you can create the new assignment, and then you will have to assign this to the employee, so you can get the updated information.
Okay. Okay. One more question. We have something called assignment category also. What is the difference between status and category?
These are just additional ways of differentiating the different employee records. For example, assignment category could be something like full-time, part-time. See, in the US, there are a lot of employees who work part-time. they might come in the morning and leave by half day.
Mm.
Or they work on alternate days. They don't work every day. They work 2 days a week, or somebody works 3 days a week. Okay.
Mm.
So that is another way this can be done. So assignment category is basically a way of differentiating between the different types of assignments that you can give to an employee.
Okay. And again, we use FSM to create an assignment category?
Yes.
Okay.
Assignment category is more like a quick code actually. So you can just go to the quick code screen and you like quick code meaning the, sorry.
Common lookup.
Yeah, the lookups like this.
Okay.
So you would have different values here.
Okay.
All right. So this is the other thing. And next thing we talk about is the flex field. Now you have seen the normal screens that where we were defining the location, the job or the positions, right? So those screens, the fields are all created by Oracle and we can use them as and when required. Or depending on, some of the mandatory ones, required ones, you have to fill up before you can save the job or the location or the department or the position record. Now, on top of it, Oracle has provided us with options to add new fields as per our need without any coding. Okay, so you can configure two types of flex fields. One is a key flex field, another is a descriptive flex field. Key flex field is related to system definition. So usually we define it at the time of configuring the application. And it has more relevance than a descriptive flex field. Descriptive flex field is more descriptive type of information, which is additional information that you track in the application. So what are the characteristics? Let's just talk about key flex field first. Key flex, you can have maximum of 30 segments. But the best practice is to keep it to a minimum number of segments. Key flex fields are usually defined at setup time and do not change frequently. Chart of accounts is defined through the account flex field structure. Each offering meaning each of these modules will have its own set of key flex fields. Like the financial side, you have the account flex field structure, or you have the asset category, or you have the on the supply chain, you have the item codes, the item category. Those are all key flex field. So if you define an item, okay, the definition of the item based on what type of item you're using and how you want to define it may change from company, may be different from company to company, right? And they will vary from industry to industry also, depending on what type of item you are maintaining in the application. Each offering has its own set of key flex field. Okay, so remember that. Key flex fields are attached to individual fields and it appears wherever that particular field is referred. So for example, account flex field structure is the accounting segment, right? Now that accounting segment will appear wherever you are referring to the account. You want to enter an account. So for example, you want to enter a debit and a credit transaction. Okay. In that case, you would define it. Okay. Link to a particular field, the account, what account debit to what account credit. So that would be linked to a particular field. The data of the key flex field is stored in separate exclusive tables. So there are separate tables where you store the data for the flex field. Okay. For example, this account flex field structure, segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, there's a separate table, the GL code combinations, where this information is stored. Okay. And finally, key flex field is mandatory to configure the application. So it is system. We said that it is system driven, right? So for that, it is mandatory to define the key flex field. Okay. Descriptive flex field, on the other hand, you may define or you may not define. Okay. So you may define descriptive flex field, you may not define. It is non-critical for the performance of the application. Okay. It is non-critical for the performance of the application. So you could track additional information like father's name, personal email address, highest qualification, or some kind of message that you want to capture. Descriptive flex fields are called as attributes, and their number, maximum number that you can define on a flex field can vary from 10, 12, 16, 24, depending on which screen you are defining the DFF. DFF is linked to the form, okay, and is displayed only in that particular form or screen. So the DFF is linked to the form, remember, and it only appears in that particular form. It will not appear anywhere else. So if you want to look at a particular DFF, you always have to go to that field to see it. Okay. Data from the DFF is stored in the base table. Base table means the table where the data is stored. So every screen that you are seeing has a base table behind the scene. For example, you are looking at job, there is a job table. You're looking at departments, there is a department table. You're looking at location, you have the location table. You're looking at person, you have the person table. You're looking at the person's name, there is a person table. Okay. So DFFs are optional and it can be defined as and when required. So it is not that you have to define it at the beginning only. You can define it as and when required. Okay. So what is the DFF creation flow? What are the steps? So first you have to decide which descriptive flex field to enable or on which screen you want to enable it. Then you choose the DFF on which you want to add the new field. You add the field, also called as attribute or segment. and you choose what type of values you want to hold by defining what we call as a value set. Okay. Value sets are primarily of 4 types, popularly 4 types. Usually there is like 5, 6 types, but 4 of these are most popular. One is called format only. Format only means there is no validation. You can enter whatever value you want. For example, names, right? You can't possibly have a name list of values unless it's like a list of employees or list of applicants, which is definitive. Otherwise, names can be anything, different types of spellings. Independent. Independent means it's a predefined list of values. Something like list of states, list of banks. So these are all predefined lists. Dependent. Dependent means values are dependent on another independent value, like country and state, bank and branch. So these occur together, they go together. Okay, independent, dependent. Table. Table means it picks up the value from the database. So you don't have to enter it manually. For example, you want to look at the list of employees. Moment an employee is defined in the application, system will automatically show that in the list. You don't have to enter it separately. All right. When you define these value sets, for independent and dependent, you need to add values manually. For format, obviously, you don't enter it upfront. Users will enter it as and when required. And in the table, the system will pick it up from the database. Any questions here?
Sir, what is an example of a key flex field?
Accounting structure.
From HCM point of view?
HCM point of view, you can have cost center on the payroll.
Okay.
The cost flex field that you have, that's a key flex field. Because
Okay.
it carries all the costing information. Once you run the payroll, right? You cost all those elements. That has to be taken to finance. So that is an example, the cost allocation flex field.
We have people group something also, right?
People group
PFF.
is there. Yes, people group is the grouping of employees.
Okay.
So that is again, it behaves like a descriptive flex field, but it is more like a key flex field. So here you can have different segments. So that is the way of grouping employees.
Okay.
So let's say, who are the people? It might be that your organization chooses to take over another company. Now there is a particular benefit plan which those employees used to get. You want to tag who are the people who are in that plan. You can put it on a people group flex field.
So do we create that people group flex field?
Yes, you would need to create the segments. The people group flex field is provided by Oracle, but you need to define the segments that you want to have there.
Okay.
If you remember when we were looking at that HCM information, over there was a particular field called people group.
Correct.
So that is where you tag that people group with your enterprise saying, okay, this is the structure that I want to use. So you can define within that people group different types of segments. 2 segments, 3 segments.
In the managed enterprise one, right?
Yes, yes. The screens are the same. Where you go and define the key flex fields, all the screens are the same.
Okay.
The same screen, only the names vary.
Okay, when the environment comes, now just show the key
Yes,
flexes.
yes.
I do
I will
not
show you. I'll show you.
I do not understand key flex field at all. So
Okay.
descriptive, so it's difficult to relate. Now, one more question. I have seen now in Code HR, right?
Hmm.
We always have, see, ultimately it's the fields,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
But we refer it by different names. Somewhere it's called segments, somewhere it's called attributes. Attribute, I know, is the understandable one. Why do we call segments at time? That's also an attribute only, right?
In a way, yes. This question should be directed to Larry Ellison, actually. Why is Oracle calling it segment and why is it calling it attribute? But
Hmm.
I think the reason why they're doing this is they're segregating between a key flex field and
Hmm.
a descriptive flex field. Key
Okay.
flex field, key flex field is usually a combination of multiple fields.
Hmm.
Okay. So when it is
Hmm.
a multiple field, individual fields don't matter there.
Okay. Understood.
All the things taken together is one particular field.
Okay.
Okay. So for example, if you look at an accounting flex field structure, okay,
Hmm.
let me give you I'll just jump across to, maybe I'll just take a few minutes here. So let's say I have an account flex field structured like this or a cost allocation flex field. Okay.
Hmm.
So here you have like company, cost center,
Hmm.
cost center, line. These are the segments.
Hmm.
Center, account, and let's say intercompany account. So these are called as 5 segments.
Okay.
5 segment key flex field. What it means is combination of company. Let's say the company values are 01, 02. Line of business is 101, 102. Cost center
Hmm.
is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Account code is 121, 4, 5, 121, 5, 6. And intercompany is again the corresponding company code. And you could have certain values like this, like line of business. If it is across line of business, you could have a value like this, cost center. These are called the parent values. Or,
Hmm.
when it is not specific to a child value, you can use these. Or you don't want to specify a particular value or it is not defined, you can use it like this. So
Hmm.
the flex field would look like this: 01 dash 101 dash 1234 dash 12145 dash 01. So
Hmm.
this
You can have
entire
multiple
thing
combinations.
together is one particular value.
Hmm. Hmm.
When you're defining a key flex field, you have to mandatorily put all the 5 values. You can leave it
Hmm.
blank, but the system will still consider that blank as a value,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? So you can't get away by defining just 3 segments, 3
Hmm. Hmm.
pieces. I think that is the reason they are calling it a segment. So it is a part.
Okay, combination of different values. And
This entire combination is one particular field. So even if you didn't want to define a value here, you would still leave it blank. And account is something that you would probably always have to define. So let's say, so again, this entire thing becomes a particular combination. So this is one entire value, one particular value. So it could be account flex wheel structure, or it could be the cost allocation flex wheel. It's the same thing. Not same thing. I'd say the behavior is similar.
Yeah. So from core HR side, we have the people group flex wheel. How do I, which is the UI where we can do that?
Assignment screen.
Assignment.
I'll show that to you once we get into the application.
Okay.
On the assignment screen, just below where we define the job position and where we assign the job position to the employee, that is where you will see the people group also.
Okay. And which UI from FSM do we define that?
There you can search for like key flex field. Okay. And under key flex field, you have all module wise, all the key flex field is appearing. Okay. That is one place. Or you can have different, like, you know, in the HCM, we went and saw that the name of the people group is there. So you can search for people group flex field. And in the FSM, it will show you as a people group flex field option. And you can see what are values being defined there.
Okay. Yeah, once we see it, then it will become easier.
Yes. Now, here's an example of an independent dependent value sets. Two examples. So what happens? Independent will have a list of countries. When I choose India, it will show me the dependent value set. Okay, which will show me Assam, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra, West Bengal, Punjab, so on. If you choose United States, then you are presented with the US states. You might have seen on the different websites where you go and register, they first ask you for the country. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Country should come at the end. The reason they ask you for the country is based on the country, they will show you the list of states. Second example, you have list of banks. HDFC Bank, SBI Bank, ICICI Bank. So if I choose HDFC Bank, I get certain branches. And if I choose State Bank, I get some other branches. So that's an example of an independent and dependent value set. Is this clear?
Yes.
Shivani, you okay with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. This is fine.
Okay. So here you have the independent and the dependent value sets. Okay. Now, before we go into person information, I think we should
stop.
Yeah, we should first have a look at the system. Otherwise, you know, everything will go over. So
yes.
Today we will stop here. All right. Once I get the application credentials, I will share it with you. Okay. And then we will again go through this. I'll show you on the system. At least these pieces you can try and do this. The other day we had looked at, I'll show you the position, don't worry. You can try and see if you can do some date track changes. Okay, go to the job screen or the department screen and see if you can do some date track changes or any other screen you can see. And quick code is something that you can try and add a value. Okay, so like you have the different screens where you can see the lookups. So search for a particular lookup and add some values. Okay, so then you will get a feel of how this lookup works, and then you can see it on the UI also where that value will be displayed. Person type and all this, I will show you how we define the person type, and then you can start using this. Okay. Any questions that you may have?
Saurav, so that's a new model with this ORC recruiting cloud. So even that is, I mean, you're going to explain. I mean, it is there.
No, recruiting cloud is like, they have another product called Talio.
Okay.
Okay, so mostly it is nowadays, it is the Talio which is used. That is another acquired product. I mean, Oracle acquired it.
So it's a new one. So how important is that now? I mean, if we go for the future interviews or I mean, in that
See,
case.
Talio is something which is used by some companies. Okay, Oracle itself, if you go to the Oracle website, you will see, I will just show you. Earlier, they used to use Oracle's own product called as iRecruitment. Okay, so if I say iRecruitment.oracle.com, see this? This redirection happens to oracle.talio.net. You see this URL?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I see.
So in this is the module where they are publishing all their jobs, all their open positions. So you can search for different roles, different, what are the positions and stuff like that, which are available here.
Okay.
And you can search. So let's say you want to search for so you get all the positions in Bangalore. So all behind the scenes setup is being done in the application, in the Talio module. And then this is the front end for the job search.
Okay.
So the most popular recruitment tool within the Oracle stack is the Talio one. So they have a Talio cloud as well, which is used.
So recruiting model, recruiting one, iRecruiting or something from Oracle, that is different from Talio?
Yes. Actually, iRecruit, before Oracle acquired Talio, Oracle had developed this iRecruitment. Okay. And it wasn't as popular as, Talio. Yeah, that's why Oracle decided to acquire it. But mostly what we have seen is, when it comes to these websites and all, Oracle or companies usually use their own custom screens. They put in a lot of validations around the candidates and, profiles and stuff like that. Because nowadays, people are applying through multiple channels. Right, they do an employee referral, they go through the consultants, then they do online and send in their profiles. So how do you do a deduplication? Right, you might be using the same employee or not employee, the candidate. You might be shortlisting the same candidate again and again. You know, sometimes people are very imaginative when they put in their names also. Okay, so one they will use, like, you know, I could use Saurav and I could use S.Pal, or I could use a different spelling of Saurav and, you know, put in the application. So the Oracle typically uses the last name as a validation. If the last name is the same, or now it has come up with additional criteria, but earlier it only used to check on last name. So you have deduplication checked by companies like TCS and all, where they validate the PAN number, then they check the mother's name also maybe, or the date of birth. So the combination of all this is used as a deduplication check. And these kind of validations you can only do in a custom software. Very difficult to do through a, you know, a standard ERP.
Yeah.
So my suggestion on, you know, even on this recruitment side is, you know, it's a very narrow domain. So just, well, since you're doing this for the HR as a whole, you know, once you know HR, it will be easier for you to, you know, pick up Talio or any other recruitment module as well. So depending on where, or, you know, what kind of role or what kind of company you're looking at, they may use it, they may not be using it.
Okay.
But HR is
So what
something they will definitely use.
so is it in demand or it's like in a normal
It's a niche
use?
area. Okay.
Okay.
It's a very niche area where, you know, only people, you know, handful of people who you, or companies that use that module, you will have opportunities to work in that particular module. Like HR is more prevalent because that is the foundation. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay.